Hello, clean freaks. Welcome to today's mess. My name is Andy, and I help clean and organize my neighbors' homes for free. And this week's episode, if you can't already tell, is a doozy. First, let me say that the room we are looking at with the boxes, the 2 extra beds, all the stuff, this is a dining room. And the second space, the living room that we end up making a drastic improvement to, wasn't even in our scope for the day. I just couldn't help myself. This right here is the reason I got in the cleaning and organizing game. Not only because this space needs some serious help, but because my neighbor in need was the kindest, most grateful helper on the planet. I say helper because you're going to see them on camera as much as me this whole episode. They never stopped working, and this was hard work. I'm going to take you step by step through our process of getting this space completely transformed for the big reveal at the end. Let's dive in. So if you're new to the channel, I go into all of these cleanup projects pretty much the same way. My neighbor in need contacts me via Facebook, sends me some photos, we have a brief phone call ahead of time, but I show up mostly going in blind. I knew, for example, that this dining room was the room in need of the most work, but that we weren't going to turn it into a space to eat. Instead, we're turning it into a functional office space. The living room, which we tackle kind of in the middle of this process once I realized how much help it needed, was again a total surprise. In fact, there's actually a sunroom that is packed to the rafters with storage items that we don't even tackle today. But I am so happy to share that I have already scheduled a date on the calendar to come back to this apartment and tackle that sunroom. So clean freaks rejoice. Andy will return. You can see the very first step to getting this space cleared was to get rid of this extra bed frame and the extra mattress, which we disassemble and then cover the mattress in a huge piece of plastic and actually use saran wrap to secure that plastic on the mattress. This process is as ridiculous to do as it is to watch, so enjoy. Now that we have the mattress wrapped, we're moving it to storage in the basement of the building. If you don't live in a city or you're not from the US, a lot of shared apartment buildings like the one my neighbor's living in will basically have a large closet or sometimes a literal cage in the basement or laundry area that tenants can put their stuff in. In this neighbor's building, the storage is all the way downstairs and then in the very back of the complex. And we end up hauling a lot of their furniture down there because here's the thing. My neighbor has a lot of furniture and a lot of it is really nice quality. And this is the moment that I realize there is no way to solve this room's problems without first solving the living room, because fixing the living room will actually make solving this room even easier. Let me walk you through what's going on here. So we were working on the dining room, but when I came in, I put my coat and my backpack down in the living room, which is immediately off to the left of the entrance. And you can see that when you enter the living room, you have to squeeze between this couch cushion, which is a disassembled couch, and there's a lot of furniture in here that's being unused. And so I immediately thought we should feng shui this room. And my measuring tape that I brought with me is probably giving away what my idea was, which was, I think where the TV currently is should be where the entire couch is up against that wall. Rather than blocking the entrance here, we move everything around so that the couch is in one long piece up against that wall, and then we move the TV where the couch currently is, so swapping the walls. We will, of course, have to get rid of this ginormous hideous lamp, and I was really nervous to broach that topic with my neighbor because I had just met them, and so I very tentatively kind of tested the waters on, would you be willing to get rid of that? And I was so happy when they immediately said, oh, of course, yes, get rid of it. So in order to make this plan happen, we do have these 2 shelving units. I can't remember if these come back in the room or not. We'll have to watch and see. But we're just moving some furniture out of this space into the dining room, into the room we just cleared, so that we have enough room to scooch furniture around. So already, even though this is not done yet, you can see how much more open this room is becoming. And I actually think at the end of the day, this feng shui had a bigger impact on my neighbor's life than the room I showed up to organize. I mean, what a win. But we pause on the living room for a moment and we come back to the dining room. We're at a stage now where we need to go through each and every box that is in this room and play a game of keep, toss, and donate. Almost every single box in this case was a hodgepodge of stuff. Very much how we pack up a room when we're moving last minute or we're out of time. You could see that someone just took everything off a desk and put all of the contents in a box. Or they cleared a drawer in a bathroom and dumped all the items in a box. So we take our time right now and go through each one, and my neighbor puts things away in real time. So if it's cosmetics or jewelry or clothing or decor, it is making a decision right then and there whether to keep, to get rid of, whatever it is, in real time. Now that we have cleared a lot of space, and we know that our goal is to transform this room into an office space, we can now carefully move the desk from the living room into this room. This desk is falling apart. And I mean, I seriously couldn't figure out what was holding it together. I was afraid to touch it. But until this channel grows in followers to a point where I can make enough ad revenue and buy new furniture for folks, this is what we had to work with. So we bring it in. And now that we have the desk in the room, we just want to make this space as functional as possible, utilizing the existing bookshelf that's nearby. Now, this is where you may be judging my neighbor for having too much stuff. But let me remind you that I am here because they did a brave thing by asking for help. They know they have too much stuff, that's why they reached out. And in this neighbor's case, their out of control piles of furniture and things comes from a downsizing and a quick move. In short, they used to have a bigger space but had to get out of there, and now they're here and they need to downsize and declutter. I should also mention that not all of this is my neighbor's stuff. They have a roommate who owns majority of the storage bins you see piled against the back wall of this room, so there's some jurisdiction we have to work around today. Those are going to stay there, but you can see this is a pretty good transformation. We get so much accomplished that it's really a life-changing transformation, and I don't mean that hyperbolically. We are changing my neighbor's life today. And I want to take a moment too, for folks who don't work at home, having a dedicated area for work that is not the exact same space as where you relax is so good for your mental health. You're able to shut the laptop, leave the area, right, clear your mind, and you don't have that visual cue of your desk and your laptop staring at you, urging you to get back to work, right? So this was really big. I know that firsthand. So this was a really big move. And here is the end result for today. Yes, my neighbor still has too much stuff, but the fact that we added a whole other room and an office area, no less, where they can work and shut the laptop and go into the living room and relax in ways that they couldn't before means we helped my neighbor move the needle from letting the junk take over the space to living amongst clutter. And if you have never been in a situation like this, you can't even imagine the mental relief that this had on my neighbor immediately. I could feel it in the space. I could see it on their very tired face. I could hear it in their thank yous, and they were so grateful. And I just love that they helped every step of the way, and I hope you'll celebrate with me in the comments. Thank you for watching. If you haven't yet, please be sure to subscribe. I'll see you next time.